family, welcome. On today's episode, we are discussing a serious issue affecting many homes, that is domestic abuse. Domestic abuse is not only about beatings, it includes threats, emotional pain, financial pressure, and also sexual abuse. Many people suffer in silence because they are afraid, they are ashamed, or are told to endure for the sake of marriage, religion, and also family. This discussion is not to blame anybody, but to protect lives and also promote healthy relationships. Today we have in our midst a resource person from PPAG, and also he is a social justice advocate, Mr. John Owusu Mensah, popularly known as Sir John. My name is Jessica and I am your host. Sir John, you're welcome.
Thank you, Jessie.
I'm Sharpa.
I think I'm between. I feel to say, no, you may see, no, I be pian for ya, bravo.
Amen. So, who is Mr. John?
Okay, so thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is John Owusu Mensah. As I said, I work with Planned Parenthood Association of Ghana, PPAG in short. We are a reproductive health education and services, and we are all over in Ghana. We've been in the system for over 5 decades as PPAG, so we do a lot. I'm a field officer with PPAG. Being a field officer, I supervise or spearhead all community engagement. I do mobilization, and then I gather people for our resource person to offer education, information, and service to the people. And on today's conversation, we are implementing a project called Scale Up project in Ashanti region here. It's been implemented in 5 regions across Ghana, i.e. Ashanti region, Greater Accra, Western region, Northeast, and Devota region. So we are fortunate to have one in Ashanti region, and I'm leading the charge. The project seeks to advocate for human rights and advocate against gender-based violence that is being meted out to individuals, most especially the marginalized in society, like women and girls, people living with HIV, the people with special abilities. We call them disabled, but then the proper word is people with special abilities, and people in prison. We hardly talk about them. And then in rural community, there's lack of information on what domestic violence or sex and gender-based violence or gender-based violence is. Do they even know about their human rights? So this and many more is what the Scale Up project seeks to achieve.
Sir John,
yes.
You can't domestic abuser. What is domestic abuse?
Thank you very much. Let's start with domestic. When we say domestic is where we stay as home, our home. Usually we stay with our relatives or our guidance or people we are comfortable with. We relate to them as family. So domestic abuse in this sense means any violence that is perpetrated against an individual from their own home by the people he or she knows or he or she stays with. So that is domestic abuse.
Wow. So how does it come?
Okay, thank you. It comes in so many forms. For instance, it can be emotional, it can be physical, it can be psychological, and it can be economical as well. When we say physical, that is somebody beating somebody. Let's say obidia ba, and I say also say yeah obi, that is physical. Psychological, adrenal, psychological and emotional, and your friend like it be like nothing is happening to your body, but inwardly we are insulting you. Somebody can insult somebody, like a wife, a boyfriend, or girlfriend, a child. Mostly the children, we abuse them psychologically or emotional without our knowledge, because we tend to insult young people so much. Any little thing, we are insulting them. When it comes to economic violence or economic abuse, children need to be catered for by their parents. Some children goes to school without even money to buy food or without food. Some wives are suffering in marriages that their husbands are not supporting them financially or not giving them the financial support. Or sometimes some marriages too, the women mostly are not allowed to work, so they are deprived of financial or economic empowerment. So if you don't have money, I provide everything to you, so whatever I say, and then I'll be this, so you obey my command because I provide all your basic needs. So these and other forms are in which domestic violence or abuse happens in our homes.
So what do you think is fueling or causing all these?
Okay, I will first start with our culture.
Culture.
Yes, our culture is a contributory factor to, not all, but some cultural practices contribute to domestic violence or abuse. Let me come practical. For instance, our culture or our society presume that it's a woman who is supposed to cook. It's a man who is supposed to provide financial support to the house. So even if the woman is sick, even if she is going through menstrual pain, by force, she has to be the one to cook for the family.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the husband or the first child would be able to do that or is capable of doing that. Why not do that and allow the woman who is going through a menstrual pain come back and cook again?
Man of the house.
Yes, men. You see, our society carves some things that men don't do.
Yeah.
So automatically, it's the woman who is supposed to do that. On the other side too, a woman may have money, even though these days most women are doing well. But then sometimes the husband or the male household head cannot provide the financial support that is adequate for the house. But then the system is that you have to provide. Sometimes it puts so much stress emotionally on the man or on the woman, since that's how our culture has carved it, that this is your responsibility, this is your role, this is supposed to be done by you, so you have to do it. And I spoke about insults, say didi tem. You see, your culture na man and say akrade you have no say. Inti si edi watem krampa, you are forced your mama your papa, then I'll be catching. But inwardly, emotionally, psychologically, as I'll catch across the be away Jimmy. So psychologically, you are abusing the child. The child may be wrong at a point, but then there's a nice way of correcting the child without insult. So these are some things that cause our family numa, and I say in our homes our culture is promoting. And I think so it beyond so say social expectation. You see, our society expects a lot from us. It is a obetimi o so untimi kra na wo ye. As parents, it be a teacher ni lecturer. Society expects you say only webusuano a certain standard of home be crambo na ese moye de motnem. And I say you school soon could be among the some of them on mako. Indeed, sometimes if you are financially constrained, it's not say society no edewo atoto baby nti esa wo force one obo abrabo no ekoduro ebi so ana wa ho de intimi unse eno no ote ho obi anya wo hwe, but wankasa inwardly umuno na say you are suffering, you are abusing your own self. Inti we any enema nka ebi na also domestic abuse and I say domestic violence.
John, how does this culture of secrecy protect abuses? So obi wo ha ni kunu na na re tete or you wo me ninji but nipa kakra na mo ni che na o mate you be like obi ade enye tika wanu to net na ho sa ujaya your family dey enjoy wa ye ukwa divorce is not an option and comfortable necessary. How?
And this is very important. And a cost will be brave. On say Ghanaians and I say blacks and account for them. We want to protect the image of our family to the detriment of our own lives. That's mostly it happens in our society. But then the family should realize that life is precious. What you are shielding or forcing your family member to stay in can also make him or her lose his or her life. And so therefore we should first protect life and not to shield like wrongdoings. we always have to talk about abuses because it affects us in so many ways. It affects our mental health, our physical well-being, and everything. So nobody should feel ashamed to talk about. We should also do away with the stereotyping, especially the men. Men also go through a lot in relationship and in our marriages, so we should be bold enough to talk about what we are going through because it affects us in so many ways. So as a society, as a nation, as people, we should be always ready to talk about the abuses that is being meted out to people, especially sometimes even the person that is being meted out to cannot open up. You have seen that this person is going through a lot in his or her home, in their marriage. We have the right to also blow whistle, to also come in to rescue or support the person come out of the abuse or abusive relationship.
So John, how can we prevent it? But remember the role of religion. You see, sometimes our religious leaders, they advise the victims to pray it away or endure, instead of reporting the abuser. Maybe say, how can the church and the mosques become part of the solution instead of the silence?
Okay, that's a very good question. The church has a very vital role to play in the fight against domestic violence or abuse. In our society, most people listen to their pastors and then religious leaders more than any other people. So one, the church needs to educate its members on what sex and gender-based violence, domestic abuse, or all those forms are. What is it? What actually is it? We need to give our congregation knowledge about abuses that we perpetrate against each other in our homes. And also, things happen. Not everything needs prayer.
Sure.
There are some things we need to take physical action. We need to report, we need to speak about, we need to talk against it in our homes. So if you're a religious leader, if you're imam, if you belong to any religion and you see that even your congregants or any member from your religious group is going through a lot, it is you. Our leaders are opinion leaders. They have a great responsibility over our lives, so they can approach us, interrogate us, and ask what we are going through as people. Then they have to advise us. Not all needs to be reported, fine, but then in some cases, the religious leaders can come in the family between maybe a husband and wife, mother and a child, father and a daughter, to resolve the issue amicably, not necessarily reporting. And so therefore, when it's becoming so harmful, when it's becoming so abusive, the church has to even first of all rescue the victim and then report to the appropriate channels to be addressed. Another way to prevent all this is to enforce our laws. In Ghana, we have the Domestic Violence Act, Act 2007. The act was passed in 2007, but the act is 732. Act 732 is the Domestic Violence Act. It spells out what domestic violence or domestic abuse are and the punishment attached to each. But in our society, we fear or we are so much afraid reporting cases to the police because of our family values and stuff. So we must enforce the law. When we see that the laws are dealing with perpetrators of domestic violence, all of us will be afraid. The police unit called DOVSU, Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit, should also be resourced to handle cases. They are in our police station, even though not all police stations are having some, especially the smaller ones, they don't have. But when you go to the police station and it's abuse, the station officer will handle the case very well. Even if they don't have DOVSU, they can report to the next DOVSU office to take the appropriate investigation. Also, we need to promote healthy family values, because if I respect my family member, if I respect, even if it's not my biological brother or biological mother or whoever, I won't abuse the person. I won't be maltreating the person. So our society should promote a healthy family values. Again, we need to engage men and boys. most of the abuses are coming from men and boys. And so we need to enlighten them that our mothers, sisters, and female siblings are our blood. Why do we treat them different from how we do our thing? They are also human beings. And so these and many other ways, when we keep talking about it, we can avoid or reduce domestic abuse and gender-based violence in our society.
John, in your submission, you said that women and girls are more likely abused. Why?
Okay, so women and girls belong to the most vulnerable groups in our society, and more importantly, our economic or financial status also speaks a lot about us. Nti mostly the entire ebasa ne say yeba awarie ma ɛna mmarima no bebree na ɛwɔ financial capacity anaasɛ ɔmo wɔ sika sen mmaa no. Nti adeɛ a ɔbaa ne mpɛ koraa ɛsiane sɛ ɔno na ɔhwɛ no, ɔno na ɔma ne sika nti na ɔde yɛ no. Ɛna yɛba yɛ young girls ne nso a sɛ ɔmo nyi no ɛyɛ na ɔmo hia nneɛma bebree ɛna the parents might not be financially capable to provide everything until they tend to men take advantage of the little support they give to young girls, and then abuse them sexually. Into one where it means so ADC domestic abuse anopa ne say yebe ma emma anase emaya ene mamefo no economic empowerment say yebe pay adwuma mo yebe che omo ensa no dwuma say the be omo basic needs like pad and other things omo betimi afford so that they won't be falling on men or guys for most of their basic needs.
Yeah, I think so. Usually there was some of them because and my baby almost faces see almost there and they'll be like my uncle because they call him.
Yes, mostly and they go through that abuse. No, the whole society mostly women who don't work, who are unemployed, who don't have any economic or financial skills. No, go through abuse.
Thank you very much, Sir John. Today's session has really been informative and educative. Before we go, your final words.
Okay, domestic abuse is very real. It's happening in our society. One thing I'll say is that we shouldn't take it as a normal thing. You can stay and say it's normal, sa obimuana wewu. Na ekum obiatete osa amwewu. Nti we should always seek help. We should speak out. We should break the silence on abuses that's being meted to us in our various homes, in our various workplaces. It happens at wherever people have gathered. It happens at wherever there are more than one or two people. So we should have the confidence. We should be bold. We should speak out. We should seek help. We can report to our opinion leaders. When it's at work, we can report to our bosses. When it's at home, we can report to our pastors, our imams. And also, if you think that it's so excessive, you can walk to any police station and report to the DOFSU. So one thing I'm saying last is that we shouldn't say that domestic violence or abuse is normal. We should always speak out. There is always help. Thank you for having me.
Sir John, be bold. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, rate us, and also invite another person to the next section. See you next time. Bye.